guys, welcome back to another episode of the Whiskey Diaries. My name is Martin Lang and today we're going to be talking about the Glenmorangie Quinta Ruban. Quinta Ruban is part of the core range of the rare malts, or basically the extra rare whiskies that they're doing for Glenmorangie. So Quinta Ruban is part of the Sauternes, La Santa and the 10-year-old. Also, Glenmorangie has the 18-year-old, the 25, the Signettes about the core range, and then they do single bottles over the course of the years that are like close to hundreds of them. There's a lot of them. Glenmorangie started its distilling in 1843. Like many distilleries back then in the 1900s, they got mothballs twice, one in the Great Depression and then after that in the Second World War. Interestingly enough, then it's been family owned to 2006 and then it got taken over by the Malt Hennessy family. Now, I didn't know this, but Malt Hennessy is actually partly owned by Louis Vuitton, which is quite interesting. Anyway, besides the point, Malt Hennessy decided to start naming a couple of the whiskies in the French name, like the Nectar d'Or and a couple of other ones. The Quinta Ruban is aged in port casks. The port, obviously, being a 45 wine. This particular release is a 14-year-old. Before that, it was actually aged for 12 years. Now, the general core range, like the La Santa, the Nectar d'Or, that gets aged for 10 years in American oak, and then another extra 2 years on Sauternes casks or sherry casks, and in this particular case, 4 years in port casks. Now, this is ruby port. Now, the other interesting fact, there's a couple of interesting facts about what Glenmorangie does and why it's so good. One of them that I found really great is the fact that they owned a forest in Ozark in Missouri in America, which means that they produce their own American oak, and they actually lease that American oak to Jack Daniels and other bourbon distilleries, which means that they basically have a lot of control on how the casks are made, the quality that they get, and how they use them as well. The other interesting fact is that Glenmorangie has probably now the tallest stills in Scotland, going to up to 8 meters. What this produces is a really light spirit and mild, like really easy drinking spirit, and that's why Glenmorangie sells so well. Glenmorangie for the last 5 to 10 years has been probably some of the best selling whiskies in the world, and they produce up to 6 million liters of whiskey a year, which is it's a fair amount of whiskey. Now, this one, like the Sauternes casks and the La Santa, it gets bottled at 46 ABV and no chill filtering and no coloring added, which 46, as I said in many videos before, is that sweet spot for me. Obviously, I personally believe the higher the ABV, the more the whiskey shows its characteristics, but 46 is that like sweet spot when you can just enjoy a whiskey, find it complex enough, and then still enjoy it without having to drink too much water or thinking too much about the whiskey. In my previous video as well for the Sauternes cask, the Nectar d'Or, I highly recommend it for any entry level and just to introduce people to whiskey. This one in particular as well is absolutely delicious, and it has that extra characteristics that you would get from a port cask. There's other whiskies like Balvenie and some other distilleries that do port finishes. This one in particular is probably one of the best ones out there. It has that new make, that Glenmorangie signature, but at the same time, you get that spiciness from the port, from the ruby port. Glenmorangie through and through, obviously, but still like quite light and easy drinking. And you get a little bit of the spiciness coming back from the port. Delicious whiskey, definitely worth having in your library. And it's for the price range as well. It's $100 to $150 a bottle. Definitely worth having. Hopefully you enjoy these ones, guys, and we'll see you next time. Slanjaba.